build this desk for under 50 bucks. In this video, I'm going to show you how. One of our most popular furniture collections is the Rustic X collection. The Rustic X console has literally been built tens of thousands of times. You may know somebody with it in their living room. We've had a lot of requests to add to it, and we've steadily been adding more plans. This week, I'm going to show you how to build the desk version. I got my lumber for this project, and what I have is 3 2x4s that are 8 feet long, and 2 2x6s that are 10 feet long, 3 2x2s that are 8 feet long. So I'm going to go ahead and set up my saw and start cutting this project out. So the easiest way to cut this project out is to use a compound miter saw, and I'm lucky enough to have mine all set up on a workbench, and it's got a stop block, so I don't even have to measure before I cut. But of course, you can just use a tape measure and make your cuts really quickly. So for this project, I'm just going to use a Kreg jig, and the Kreg jig is just such an amazing tool. It hides all the joints, it gives you nice square joints, and it's all I need, so that one tool and a drill, and I can assemble this entire project. I highly recommend getting one. You notice on the Kreg jig, I'm going to place the pocket holes on the outsides because that'll get covered up with the top later on, and it's a stronger joint that way. So that's one of the leg sets. I'm going to build 3. While my leg sets are free and not attached to a desk, I'm just going to go ahead and put the X detailing in it. So I just kind of scribed where I need to cut, but then I first cut a little bit off of the line so I could tell if how I set my saw was accurate. And then once I realized that the 2 lines are exactly parallel, went ahead and made that final cut. It just gives you a second chance to make sure that your saw is set right. So for this second part of the X, what I do is I just cut another one that's identical. And then I overlap them, and I'll trace the overlaps. And I always trace the overlap on both sides, even the side that I'm not going to cut, because when I go back to put it together, I'll have some marks to tell me where, the middle of that X is. So same thing here, I'm just going to cut a little bit off that line, readjust my saw, and then cut right on the line when I'm happy with it. So I'm going to glue and nail the X's together. You could use screws, you could use the pocket holes here too. The reason that I didn't use the pocket holes is because they'd be visible, and this isn't structural. This is just pretty much decorative. Now I'm going to start making it look like a desk. So I'm going to tie it all together with some 2x2s. And these are just furring strips. They were literally $2 for an 8-foot stick. So super cheap, but still super strong, and they stain up nice and look really beautiful. This is the point where I realized that my vacuum actually would hook up to my Kreg jig. Okay, so what I like to do is do as much work as possible on my workbench. So I'm going to work on that storage area first. So just a little bit of glue, and also notice how I'm trying to use gravity to my advantage whenever possible. So I'm going to push down with the drill, and this just helps me, it helps keep the board in place while I'm drilling, and you don't have to push as hard because gravity's working for you. And again, the pocket holes are on the bottom and on the top where they'll be covered with the top later on. So if you're interested in building the Rustic X end table, this is basically all the steps that you would do to get the end table. And we have those plans available already online. There needs to be something filling in that bottom shelf area. And I thought about using plywood, but I wanted to keep the wood species the same, so I just found some scrap wood and Kreg jigged it together. And then I'm going to set that inside that bottom shelf. Another thing, you can do more shelves, so you could do like a middle shelf or even 3 shelves in there. I just, for my needs, I just wanted the 1 shelf in there. And then I just switched up the pocket holes to the 3/4 inch setting. I'm using 1 1/4 inch pocket hole screws. And again, the nice thing about the Kreg jig is this is all hidden. would make a great nightstand. Just saying. Alright, so now I'm going to turn it into a desk. So pretty much the same steps we did earlier, where I use gravity and add the 2x2s along the top and then just one at the back. Another thing you'll notice is I'm just using one pocket hole here, and you can use 2 pocket holes, but what I find is it takes up that entire 2x2, and it's not really that necessary. The only thing it's really doing is keeping that board from twisting. So if you just add a little bit of glue, that will hold your board and keep it from twisting, and then the pocket hole screw will keep it secure. And it saves on screws. You're literally using half as many. Alright, now for the top. I'm using 2x6s for the top, and the way that I work, I wasn't really worried about grooves in my boards just because I use a mouse pad and I normally write on a notebook. But if you were, you would want to run your boards through a table saw first, get nice square edges, and then join them together. But for my purposes, this was just fine. So I'm back to the 1.5" setting and the 2.5" pocket hole screws. My little helper wants to build a birdhouse so bad. So this same method will help you build like tabletops. It's really quick and it's easy and it's actually super strong, and build a nice top. So I'm just going to keep it all upside down, and again just use gravity, and we'll flip it over, line it up with the back, and yes, you can use pocket hole screws to attach the base right to the underside of that tabletop. Alright, now to stain it. I'm using Golden Oak by Varathane, and it's a nice medium neutral brown color. And of course I sanded everything first. And what I do is I'll start at the most difficult places to stain first, and then I'll work my way outward. And then I'll do the top and the most obvious sides last. So for a little detailing on the corners, I'm going to add some corner braces. And these are just available off the shelf. I think they're about $3 for a 4-pack, and they include the screws. And just screw them right on. So it's your turn now. I've got the plans all up over on my blog. That link is in the description. Click on over, download those free plans, and get this built this weekend. It's going to make your life easier and more beautiful. Please take a second to subscribe, or if you have already, thank you so much. We very much appreciate you subscribing. You guys have a great week. We'll see you next Monday.